everyone. Good morning. It's the Neutral Zone. It's April 1st. April 1st, 2024. I just had an April Fool's joke played on me. I can't believe it's April Fool's. Well, I ain't fooling today. I'm going to be here with you for an hour, and I have no guest in the studio with me because I have some clips of scientists and educators and people that have solutions for the problems of the ash, the toxic ash that we have in Lahaina. And I've had guests here on the show in the last few weeks talking about the fact that last summer, on August 8th of 2023, we had a fire in Lahaina that devastated and basically destroyed Lahaina. And it left ash, a toxic ash that has literally hundreds and probably thousands of things that are not supposed to be there, and all got created and mixed up. And some of them are actually toxic and cumulative toxins that cause cancer and all kinds of other diseases. And we've had lots of conversation over the months after that on where are they going to put that toxic ash. And there were a number of places that were, quote, chosen and designated as possible sites. But, the longer we go on, I heard a story just this weekend that the mayor was given an ultimatum. Either you put it in Olowalu or we ain't paying, from the powers that be in the federal level. So we don't know what all the stories are, but we do know that there is ash, toxic ash, that's in Olowalu. And until they approve and change to start taking things to that site, which again may not be the wisest thing to do overall, but until that happens, they have all this toxic ash and ground under it being taken from individual properties in Lahaina and brought in trucks to Olowalu, to an area that they've created and designated for that toxic ash. And that ash has been brought there and mixed with regular soil that they brought from somewhere else. And we've had a couple of big rainfalls that pushed the system that is already in place by them, they say, to keep it secure, pushed it to the limits. And we've seen how those toxic wastes can overflow already. And even though the final site has been approved by the county council, they don't have the land secured yet. And so nothing's happening. So I thought it was really important not to gloss over this. We hear in the news, they chose the final site. Everyone thinks, oh, great. But right now, we have a toxic problem in Olowalu. We also have a toxic problem in Lahaina. And there's a lot of truth that hasn't come out in the media about just how toxic this ash is, and that it is in the air, and when it gets blown around, it travels great distances, 20 to 50 kilometers, in other words, a long, long distance. But that hasn't even really been brought up to the public. We hear that the ash is going to affect the people that are near it in Lahaina. No one's really talking about Olowalu anymore. It's kind of off the subject, sounds like, because everyone thinks that the council decided it's going next to that space in the central Maui landfill. Again, that's not happening yet, but let's hope that happens. But no matter where it goes, we need solutions on what to do with this ash. Putting it in the ground and then hoping that it doesn't get into the water table and doesn't get into the reef and all that goes with that is wishful thinking. And whether it's in our lifetime or after our lifetime, it's a big issue. And it should be a big issue for everyone, not only the people on the west side. The ash and the soil that are coming across the island from Olowalu to the dump is, again, toxic and on the tires and on the wheels and who knows what. But no matter what they're doing with that, I want to be able to share the science that was already shared with us. It was shared in a document that cost Eddie Garcia and company, farmer there in the West and a real knowledgeable guy, $40,000 for a bunch of studies and solutions posed to the council and to the mayor before we had public testimony on decision on the site. Remembering that privately they already had pressure from the mayor had pressure. So the big question is, no matter what's going on, what are we going to do? How are we, the people of Maui, going to address a problem that will kill our people and kill tourism? No, not until they discover this problem and it becomes more into the media. But I think it would be a wise thing, I think we all know that, it would be wise to deal with these problems and get rid of them. And it would also be wise to realize that we don't have a second chance to do the right thing. We only have a first chance. And so this is our first chance. I didn't bring a guest here today purposely because I have an accumulation of segments back in, I guess it was February. Is that right? Maybe it was, I don't even remember. The time just keeps running on. The People's Council of Maui was a group that was that commandeered by design Akaku Maui Community Media to give them 4 or 5 hours on a Saturday and to broadcast their Zoom call. And they had interested people in the studio upstairs here at Akaku and Kaului, and they had scientists and people in different locations. And after the show, it was a very long show, so I don't know how many people had the strength to listen to all those hours, unless they were already very committed. But this is something that everyone should be interested in and should get to hear some of the solutions that are being posed by the scientists. So that's what I wanted to do today. I am sitting here with clips. If you're going to be watching TV or looking on the web, you can go to MauiNeutralZone.com, and our shows are in order, going backward. So you'll see this show as of tomorrow, this show, and going back and back and back. And so you can see all these shows with all this information. We have about 170 shows as the Neutral Zone, and then probably another 800, a zillion of them. They're all there in a search engine right there on the webpage. If you go to YouTube, you will also, if you just search Jason Schwartz or Neutral Zone or Maui and put those together, you're going to see a bunch of things show up. But the easiest way is MauiNeutralZone.com, and the other good way is to go to Akaku, akaku.org, and there they have an archive of shows in a link there for KAKU radio. And that's what's going on. Well, I just thought to just jump right in. Last time I spoke for 20 minutes before I started clips. I'm going to play you a clip first. I think it's the last clip that I had taken out of the conversation from Eddie Garcia. You know, the question is, if you have toxic material that you're taking from Lahaina and putting it in Olowalu and it's temporary, the question is, Why are you taking toxic material and mixing it with non-toxic material and growing the volume, and then you're going to be taking it even further to another permanent site, and so you've created more work, more toxic debris in the way that they're addressing it and mixing it, and not such a good idea. Here's Eddie Garcia talking for a couple of minutes about that. Listen to this.
So, like, why would we mix it with water? Why would we mix it with Aina and make 3 times the problem, but use the excuses that we can't move it because 400,000 tons or cubic yards is already too much? So why would we triple it? It just doesn't make sense at all. And so that's why I've been very vocal about this. So now we have the Clean Harbors, we have NEV, we have the Clean Oceans, and there's a lot of others out there that we just haven't had the time to get to everyone. And the county, if I can spend $40,000 on a document and put it out there to my community, all facts, and then the county, rather than actually reading it, can tell the community that it's not true, that they're not facts. That's when we're in a dangerous situation with our leaders, you know what I mean, and the people that represent us. So that's why, again, these meetings are important for us as a community to come together and not just get 3 minutes like we do in a county council. That's what we get. If we start something here, we can all come and speak as long as we need to so that we are heard and that we can voice our concerns, and perhaps they'll have enough sense, and hopefully they tune into this. They've been given the links to this. They were all invited. Not one of them showed up. It tells me they don't really care what we have to say. So as a community, I think that we all need to come together and we need to make our voices heard.
As I've come to understand it, even if they do care, they are not the ones that have the power, the financial power, the decision-making power on what was going to happen. That was impressed upon them by the federal government. But the question really is, what are they doing creating more toxic waste than, and if you're going to be moving it, why are you making more of it? Very, very strange. And this is not normal thing that you dilute something. This is when you accumulate toxins over time, it gets worse and worse. They don't dilute and go away. They accumulate. And just really crazy. Well, you know, when Eddie was introducing the scientists and the people with solutions, there was a guy named Nev. Nev is a surfer. He's in Australia, but he has great interest in solutions that create no toxicity in the world and trying to handle things. And so he spoke and talked about things, and I think you should hear that.
Okay, fine. Yeah, so thank you for this incredible opportunity to try and do some good. First thing I'd like to say, I am not a scientist. I have the scientific group behind me for the solution that we're going to suggest. And what I believe is a comprehensive solution that will deal with the toxic waste if it is containerized and placed in a certain position. So the discussion around containerizing the waste is, this, as far as we're concerned, a good solution to store it and have it ready for its now, whether that process for disposal happens a month after the containers are placed, or whether it happens a year or even 2 years after it's been placed. As long as that waste is contained, that's fine. Now, I'm going to share with you, I'm going to share screen. So I'm going to share with you just a roadmap that I did, which is this one here. So I did this roadmap, okay? So it's to paint a pretty picture, but at the end of the day, leave the waste, go past the landfill. I'm trying to be funny, but in the top right-hand corner, you might not be able to see it very well, but basically I'm saying take the waste to a place, containerize it in the burn zone, somewhere where everybody agrees that we can contain the waste. due to the background and the people that in my group, I have all these solutions in relation to taking commercial industrial waste, which is in fact what this is, toxified, if that's a word, crush, grind, pulverize it, but in a building that is safe, hazmat suits, masks, the whole thing. One container at a time goes in. It's crushed. It's then put into a system called secondary combustion reactor technology. This is a system that takes waste, burns it at 1200 degrees, a normal incineration scenario. The fumes and the toxic material that normally gets scrubbed out of a scrubber and then taken away or whatever, that gets sucked up into a second chamber, and with hydrogen gets burnt at 2,800 to 3,000 degrees. At the end of that process, with all the testing that's been done, which meets European emissions standards, in Australia, we're going through the final process to get the final, again, let me qualify the fact that if I use the wrong jargon, please forgive me, because I'm just a surfboard shaper, right? So the last of the elements that remain may or may not be there, but if they're there, we contain them anyway, and they are captured. So this system will deal with that waste, all the concrete material, the aggregate, all the things that would be normally really difficult to incinerate or to deal with can be dealt with this system. So I'll quickly show you, let me just go to this one here. So forgive me because I wasn't really prepared for this. So I have all the documentation to show this. Let me just pull this one. This is some of the technologies that can be used to prepare the waste, the C&D waste, for final disposal. And then I'm more than happy to share this in a better way. But my scientists prepared this for me the night before to show the viability of this solution. And if I can just pick up here. Okay, so this is what I was looking for. So in a nutshell, the SCRT is a patented multi-purpose emissions control technology. The SCRT is designed to clean toxins and particles from emissions, process emissions from incineration and combustion, manage emissions generated from kilograms to tons of feedstock per hour, create significant additional heat and steam, assist in generating kilowatts to megawatts of electricity per hour. This is a containerized system that let's say the 40-foot container with this system established does about 1.5 megawatts. With one of those machines in the facility, container comes in, goes through the crushing, pulverizing scenario under strict controls for all the other scenarios, puts into the multiple systems to then finally turn that waste into, this is basically a schematic of how it works, waste in, processing, high temperatures, all the way through to other things that I'm not going to begin to explain, and my experts will. The SCRT was tested by the Queensland Department of Natural Resources and Mines and assured environmental as the only means of emissions control during the efficient combustion of plastics, foam, PVC tire, paper tires, wood, rubber, lead acid batteries. Now, obviously, that's in every house, in every commercial building, and that's what's happened to the buildings that have been burnt down. Don't quote me on that because I'm not the expert, but so we've achieved the emissions control necessary to be able to deliver this in Europe. The emissions control in Australia are far more complex, and the bottom line with this is, I'll say it again, it's a decentralized solution. Whilst it is waste to energy, it is not a $50 million, $100 million, $500 million permanent waste to energy plant. And I don't have anything against waste to energy, but there is an element of the NIMBY scenario which stops waste management, waste to energy happening around the world, which is not in my backyard. Take it somewhere else. I can assure you that this system being decentralized and small and within a system, taking the waste to an element that is certainly safe, destroying it all the way through, is a solution that should be accepted by the community as a far better solution to landfill, let alone the Olowalu landfill, all that we've discussed. So whilst discussing that, and without promoting the other scenarios that we have, we can also deliver a municipal solid waste solution that that processes, for example, 100 tonne a day of MSW waste. No waste then will go to landfill. 100 tonne comes in, nothing goes to landfill. So commercial and household waste, after the normal recyclables are taken out, so we could have that system with the SCRT in the same building, bringing MSW waste to the same site, bringing the toxic waste to the same site, and the output of that MSW solution is concrete blocks that have 33% of MSW fibrous material that is inert, but I'm told not to use the word inert because that's 100%, but that the toxic, so in other words, MSW waste, 12,000 concrete blocks a day, which is about 6,000 or 7,000 square foot homes of concrete blocks a day. That's what the Lahaina community could get from their MSW. This is what the Lahaina community could get from destroying the waste and putting energy back into the local grid or powering the local factory. And then Eddie might want to continue to give some relevance, or I'm happy to have a conversation with anybody at any time, but with my scientists behind me to qualify the things that I've said.
Wow. Can you imagine every day in a processing plant that's contained that we could get 12,000 building blocks? What does that mean? That means we have an amazing resource here that should be used, not put into a ground and be toxic and create possible problems in the future. We're able to contain it and process this stuff and turn it into a resource and into power. That really is something we should consider, right? Wouldn't you say? Well, why isn't it? Yeah, that's right. Why isn't it? And the fact that we can have something decentralized that's, if you will, portable. This could be moved anywhere. Can be right in the burn zone. We can take care of what's going on in Olowalu, right there in Olowalu, and process it there. And we can stop doing things that are not only wasteful in money, the way the EPA and the Army Corps of Engineers are doing it, but it is not responsible for doing the best that they can do. They're just doing what they always do. It was only after the Paradise, California fire when they started taking soil as well as ash. So there's a big confusion on what exactly they're doing and why. They don't have to answer to us. They give you general answers, and we're supposed to be biting in and saying, oh, yes, give me more, give me more. Not right. After Nev spoke on that Saturday, there was a guy named Homer. He'll talk to you next. And he's from Clean Harbors. Wait till you hear this one. Listen to this.
My name is Jim Holm, and I usually go by Homer. I wanted to mention that I speak from a lot of love for Lahaina. I learned my craft as a commercial boat captain there in the 70s and 80s. I have friends still living there, and we also lost friends in the fire, so we understand a little bit. I represent an organization called Clean Oceans International. We are a 501c3 nonprofit in Santa Cruz, California, working to reduce plastic in the ocean. We offer our sympathy for what you're all enduring, and we respect your need to rebuild your lives as soon as possible.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but we do not have a miracle technology that can treat the toxic ash and render it safe. We're still looking. We're hoping that NEV's solution is one of the things that you really need. For plastic pollution, we promote a process that we call portable plastic to waste conversion, or PPWC technology. While PPWC does not handle the ash, it can convert the plastic packaging and materials that are already beginning to impact the island during cleanup and rebuilding. Sounds like I might be competing with somebody. I hope not. Unlike recycling, at the conclusion of a PPWC transition, the plastic is actually gone. The only technology we're aware of wherein the plastic is gone at the end of the process. Portable plastic to waste conversion converts 10 pounds of plastic into 1 gallon of diesel fuel for pennies of energy, and creates 14% less of a carbon footprint in that process. Our partners at Oregon State University School of Chemical, Biological, and Environmental Engineering and PDO Technologies of Brooks, Oregon, are waiting in the wings to provide you a little bit more technical details about this process. This is not what Maui wants from us now, but it can be valuable for Maui in the long run. Our other suggestion are regarding the cleanup logistics. You may have heard Nev suggest that if the debris is containerized and available on scene in somewhere, that they can then deal with it when they're available to set up their shop. Although Lahaina residents need to return to their property at the earliest safe opportunity, there are profound benefits from adopting some simple changes to that ash removal process that will increase the speed of removing, transferring, and storing that debris while reducing the economic and environmental impacts, which of course serves our purposes. This does not impede the ongoing efforts during the setup and will dramatically expedite cleanup once this whole setup is operational. We also understand the importance of honoring the culture and spirit of Hawaii and the desire for disposition of the ash on Maui soil to respect the remains of lost relatives. Our proposal provides time for everyone to agree on the best way to process that ash efficiently and respectfully. From an environmental point of view, temporarily containing toxic debris in a landfill is a definite concern. Rainwater absorbs the toxins from that debris and will transport that toxins outside of that impermeable membrane during the inevitable rain events, and will funnel it downhill into one of the island's premier coral reef destinations. We all know that Maui's economy depends on a pristine environment to attract visitors, and the highest standards are essential to protect marine life, the heartbeat of Maui tourism, right from the beginning of this process. Our suggestions provide you with a more cost-effective process that responds to Maui County Council's stated concerns about not landfilling at Olowalu temporarily. This proposal reduces the costs and the impacts from handling and transporting materials twice, which also is creating the greatest opportunity for contamination and leakage. From an economic view, efficiency is valuable. Currently, trucks are loaded one at a time at individual job sites in Lahaina during normal work hours, then join the traffic stream to and from Olowalu. Our proposal uses a fleet of low-impact skid steer machines to simultaneously load multiple shipping containers at numerous locations there in the burn zone. Containers are then staged to be moved one time at night and stored until a suitable technology is agreed upon for respectful disposition of those ashes. Our approach avoids landfill. Debris that has been temporarily stored at Olowalu already could then be moved more safely and sooner. Perhaps someday the abandoned landfill adjacent to this new site could also be excavated and past generations of waste properly handled as well. The Central Maui landfill can house a large number of containers that would withstand decades of outdoor environment protecting the contents. The estimates that we heard suggest 400,000 cubic yards of debris, and using 87 cubic yards per container, that would require approximately 34 acres of container at one level, or 17 acres if stored 2 containers high. This is approximately 1 degree or less of the site acreage. When suitable treatment options have been decided, containers can be processed and cleaned inside a purpose-built structure to further protect the environment from spillage. Central Maui landfill is also the most convenient location for refueling these transport vehicles or the tankers that can then serve that little skid steer army that's working in Lahaina. The Lahaina cleanup and waste management, including the elimination of landfills, can become a model for island or rural communities around the world. Of course, cost is always a concern, and as a gesture of solidarity, our partner, PDO Technologies, of which Kevin is waiting to talk to you soon, is offering to donate some PPWC systems to Maui. And these could be set up and running within a few months of a decision. A best practices approach makes the entire operation more attractive to philanthropic support. If invited to participate, COI is offering to work hand in hand with Maui County administration to provide fundraising, design, installation, and operational assistance during whatever time is required for CML land staff to take over the full-time operations. This introduction is a little bit light on technical and cost analysis. In our electronic document that's included here, we include links to our webpage, portable plastic waste conversion, frequently asked questions, and we and our partners, Skip Rochefort from Oregon State University and Kevin DeWitt from PDO, are available to answer any further questions. It would be our honor to assist with recovery efforts. We invite the Maui County Council and anybody who's interested in learning more to send representatives to our partners' facilities in Oregon to understand the scale, simplicity, and efficacy of portable plastic to waste conversion operations. Thank you for taking the time to listen.
Wow, that was a lot he said, huh? Well, he referenced Nev, who's the gentleman from before, and that process, which gets rid of the 100% or virtually 100% of the toxic element in the waste. And we're talking about something that far reaches further than the ash. We're talking about being able to get rid of plastic waste on an island of accumulating waste. That is a major thing, to be able to completely eliminate plastics, to be able to use the landfills, these dumping sites, as basically places to harvest material that give us power and get rid of a problem that has been a problem everywhere, but on an island for sure. What do you do with all the waste? What do you do with it? Well, this is a great time to really see just this is an opportunity. You know, we didn't expect to have a fire. We didn't expect to have all these problems. But here, now that we have it, shouldn't we take care of it in the best way that we can, in the safest way that we can, that one that will not only be good for us, but be an example to others who also have these problems. This is the time for us to do something like that. Now, you know, I recognize that budgets are always important, and I am thinking that I wouldn't be surprised at all if there are private sector individuals with a lot of money that can recognize this is a great solution and one that they could, in fact, be in this business or surely supporting it with their money and making a major contribution to the whole world and using Maui as the place to do it. Now, Homer just spoke about Skip Rochefort at the Oregon State University and Kevin DeWitt of PDO Technologies. So I think it's important that we listen to those. We still have time for one, maybe both of them, but it might be tight. So I think the next one to listen to would be the Oregon State University gentleman, Skip Rochefort. Listen to this, and listen carefully.
This is Skip Rochefort. I'm at Oregon State University. I'm a chemical engineer by training, and I've been at OSU for Oregon State University in the College of Engineering for 30 years. I have been working in the plastics area for about 47 years. I know I don't look that old, but I am. So I just want to say, first off, that I'm very honored to be able to have participated in some of these discussions that are going on, to learn the culture of the people and to see how important the culture is to the people of Lahaina. Here at OSU, we've done some work with the Paradise folks, and I just what I learned really is that this is a whole different situation here because of not only the island but also of the cultural attachment to the land that frankly doesn't exist in some of the continental United States cleanups. So anyway, I just wanted to say that. I'd also like to say that we are involved in research. So we have small-scale systems. I have lots of students. I'll show you in a minute in a brief presentation of people that are working on this. And we have been targeting small-scale systems for rural and underserved communities. There's a big social justice around plastics. And we've been dealing solely with plastics. I've worked with Clean Oceans Internationals, and I'm on the board of directors there. I've worked with Kevin DeWitt for 15 years or so. These are people that are looking for solutions that are clean and sustainable. And we, as a research arm, try to provide some information on this to help better design. So that's with that, I want to share my screen and talk to you just very briefly about our system. Okay, so slideshow from slideshow. Okay. All right. So we have I do a lot of work with students. My job, my product are students, and my job is education. So this is just a group of people. I want to make sure we acknowledge them. I work with another faculty member, with Kevin DeWitt, and of course with Clean Oceans International. Here's a quick view of pyrolysis. All right. So all this says is we take big molecules, which are what plastics are, and we convert them into smaller molecules. And in our case, we're going completely to diesel every time. So we want to make a product that people can use in their boats, their cars, their tractors, and their generators. Here's our simple system. It's very small. We do this on a laboratory scale. We built a kiln that generates a high temperature, like 550 degree air. We have a tube here where we put the material in, and all we do is add heat, condense it, and then we end up with diesel fuel in about 5 hours to 6 hours, something like that. Okay, so it's a very simple system. It's clean. We can contain everything. Here's the process. On the left-hand side are sort of cups from a local it's called Dutch Bros. It's a local place that serves coffee and other drinks. We grind them up. That's the second panel you see here. There's our reactor, and then right out of the end of the reactor, we get this diesel, and like it says here, in about 5 to 7 hours. Very simple system, and it's something that we'd like to be able to set up in communities around the world. Just to prove that we actually have a diesel, here's what on the left-hand side is what the off-road diesel carbon distribution looks like. So this is, on the bottom is the carbon number. And you can see the carbon number goes from about C 7, 8, 9, 10 up to about 25 for off-road diesel, or what we call red diesel. And this is some unwashed ocean plastics that we've run, and it's about the same distribution. So this basically shows that we can make very good diesel product in a single step. Here's my partners, and that's all I really wanted to share. I wanted to get through this pretty quickly. What I do want to do is add a couple of comments here. I have watched the drone footage. I've seen a lot of the videos that people have been posting of the Lahaina, of the Olowalu site, and it just makes me very sad. Okay, about what's happening there. And I just like to add that putting the waste in containers of some kind, burritos or whatever, is certainly the best thing that I think we can do right now, so that we can actually start putting solutions together to solve this problem. And we could keep it on site, okay? On site meaning somewhere on the island. I've looked at the burritos being dumped into the Olowalu site, and the reason they fall apart is pretty simple. I've been working on trying to stick HDPE things together for a long time, and you can't do it, okay? They said they use adhesives. You cannot do that. You can heat seal it, which they're not going to do in the field, but that's why those burritos fall apart. It's like, you've ever eaten a burrito, you bite into it and everything comes out on the plate. That's what's happening there, right? That's because it's not sealed properly at the ends. So they're never going to be able to seal that no matter what they say. However, if you take those burritos and stick them in a container, then you're in good shape. Or if you just fill the containers, as Captain Homer was saying before. So the big thing that both Nev and Captain Homer have said is that we need to contain this. We need to get it off the site so people can start getting back to their lives. And we need to be able to deal with the waste, not in a very quick fashion, but in a way that is thoughtful, and that we can make we can really use the technologies that are available to us to the best of our ability. And I want to just add, the last thing I'd like to add is that the way I look at this is that there's an immediate need. The immediate need is to clean up the site and to get that waste off the site and to handle it in some way. But in the long run, Maui still has a landfill issue. They still are generating a lot of waste. They still generate a lot of plastics. And what I envision happening is that if we take these containers and bring them someplace, and we set these technologies up in that area, then that becomes a sustainable waste energy consortium or site where this can go on. Maui could be, if they do it right, a model for all other islands that have to deal with waste, not necessarily just from fire, but from just the general waste of a whole bunch of tourists coming in and dumping a whole bunch of crap on the island, okay? And I think that's the way to look at this, is that if you look at the things that we've been proposing, you can have a short-term solution, you can have a long-term solution, and you become a model for the islands about how to handle waste. So I really would encourage you to think about that long-term solution also as part of what you do here when you pick your technologies. I thank you so much for the opportunity to be able to sit in on this and to listen to everything that's going on. I really appreciate the people of Maui, and I hope that we can honor your past and your present. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Skip. Listen to how much concern these people have and how much integrity they have when they're delivering their message. Wouldn't you think that the county council and the mayor would be reviewing this stuff and somehow challenging the EPA? Well, maybe you can't challenge them because it's the money. It's the money. You know, when you hear people talk about that stuff, you always say, follow the money. What does that really work? I think sadly it does. And I'm going to wait on Kevin DeWitt and getting him on from PDO Technologies. We'll have that on another show very soon. But you can see all these processes work together. And, Kevin DeWitt is PDO Technologies. They're going to talk about pyrolysis. Pyrolysis means, I call it burning, but when you heat things and you don't add oxygen, that's called pyrolysis. When you heat things and you add oxygen, that might be called incineration. So just a different process. But things take a long time to get approved, and if you go into the EPA And you find that those two things, pyrolysis and incineration, are in the same category. So they're not even up to date. You'd think that they would be the most up to date of anyone in the world, but they are not. They are not. And I think that the undue influence that money plays in decisions being made here could be the demise of these islands and tourism in time, because of all these toxins being a problem and it getting out. You know, we all know that a lot of things in our world aren't as they're represented in the media, and then later we hear about things like, oh, well, we knew that, but we didn't want to panic anyone, or all kinds of other things that you hear in time about all kinds of stuff. This is another one that you say, my goodness, what is going on? We probably have maybe 10 minutes to go, 11 minutes till the end of the show. I want to play you something that I thought was, last time at the end of last show, I started a thing by Lico Martin and I stopped in the middle. He's not only a musician and a songwriter and an activist and a farmer. He's he's of the Hawaiian culture, and you will hear in what he talks about how Hawaiiana and the culture has not been given a chance with all the systems that they had in place, that they're not in place here. Listen to this.
Prioritizing, right? Get to a yard and say, okay, who are the suspects? Who do I first round up? Because as Olowalu is at the place where all of this is occurring in Lahaina, to me it is obvious that the issue of the political situation in the Hawaiian Islands is at the top. Is at the top of all of this. And as I've held that position, I'm just saying that this is important, so important, because not to say that, because if you're going to restore a government, that you're not going to have corruption, you're not going to have things like that, but that you will have a mechanism of you have a foundation of agreements or political stuff that you can follow up and you work with, and that just because Olowalu is a target now, tomorrow, where's the next target? There will be more targets, and there are more targets already on the books, because the issue of the political situation in the Hawaiian Islands hasn't been avoided. And this avoidance is obvious. They've left a trail, something you can follow up on. When the Congress 1920 says we're going to acknowledge ramifications, it has not been. The fires in Lahaina is a ramification that has not been. What is happening in Olowalu is a more severe. Now it's compounded to. If that's what is going to be allowed to continue, just take me out now. I mean, let's just get to the bottom of this. Okay, and that's so. I once again, and I say this not with arrogance, not with any type of vengeance or anything like that, but I see it as an issue that can be addressed and could have a substantial impact on where we are now and where we can prevent from going in the future. So that our mutual concerns for life, for humanity, we can, it may be just the issue that the world can gather a sense of unity around. because of how
Absolutely.
beautiful it is and how quickly it is just being destroyed. With the question of with the Evie, you can look at the ashes of removing them. When he mentioned, it was like, well, look at all the people, Kanaka, who have left to live in Las Vegas. If they've left here, they've left their Evie behind.
Yeah.
And they say because it's not safe and it is an issue, sure, but you know, we have to go on and we have to find a place where we can survive and be safe.
Yeah.
And I'm glad they're there because there's always tomorrow. I mean, it's not promised, but so I just wanted to bring that issue up. Respect for kupuna from Olowalu and kupuna around the world. Every people all around, it's just like one indigenous humanity. We all came from that, working with what we had, and the culture came, whether it's, you know, potatoes or this and that. We are one indigenous humanity.
Yes, we are, Dad.
So anyway, this is really wonderful for me.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I really like Liko. He brought up that point. No respect for the Hawaiian culture and that things have not been addressed in a meaningful way. We're now 100 and, God knows, 130 years after the Queen abdicated the throne under the situation many of us know, without firing a shot, because she didn't want to have, didn't want her people to die. Here we are. It's now 2024. You would think that after all this time, we would be addressing those issues. But it doesn't seem that the world puts it on its priority list. And we talk about it here, about honoring the Hawaiian culture, and I hope that we do more of it and we incorporate some of the processes that they used in their governance and help us make better decisions, help us make better choices. I hope that this show, along with the last show where we had more testimony about Olowalu, and we're going to have some more. I still have two more scientists that I want to bring to you. And I think it's really important that we put it into bite-sized chunks and put it out here to you, the people, not only of these islands, but of the world. This is a global issue. And here in the United States, maybe because we're so far away, we're not considered that important. We're only a couple of electoral votes, and whatever we are, we're really asking for more problems if we don't make the changes now, because these things are going on, and the worse it gets, the more angry people get. We saw, all of us who remember the January 6th Institute January 6th in Washington, D.C., and all the violence and all the confusions that have happened through that. We have to really come to terms with all being one humanity together and dropping the animosity from it all, you know? Well, I enjoy getting on here with you guys. This is KAKU 88.5 FM, the voice of Maui. Akaku, Maui Community Media TV, channel 55 on cable. MauiNeutralZone.com. You can find all our shows, and you can find all the shows up there on YouTube if you put in the right keywords. With only a couple of minutes to go, I think that I'm going to spare you hearing me talking, and I am going to pick a song. Let's see. Let's see if this one will fit nicely, and then the closing credits. Here's one. May cut off early. We'll see.
Open up my window and the sun came smiling through, bringing warm and golden promises of you. I felt the morning on my face and knew that it was true. I'm in love, and yes, you love me too. Now the skies light up my way with a joy that is fresh and new. Love again fade away, and I have found a place to stay. Dreams coming true with you. I can feel you in my arms, close against my skin, filling me with warmth, growing deep within. You're the serenade of light and the way that I begin. The morning melody I sing. Now the skies light up my way with a joy that is fresh and new. Love again fade away, then I have found a place to stay. Dreams coming true, dreams that are coming true. With
We're out of time, but we love you and we hope to see you next week. Thank you for joining us. Aloha.